Warm greetings, I'm Drakpa. Nice to see you again, friends, Dharma sisters, brothers. Quickly activating bodhicitta, wisdom and compassion. Praying to Guru Rinpoche, embodiment of all the Buddhas of the three times. Hong Ujin Yudin Yudanzan Pema Geza Dombola Yazin Jugid Nunumni Pema Juni Zizu Dra Kade Kada Mambako Jidi Jizo WG Jinji Lubji Jizo So Guru Pema Sedi Hong Sanchi Judin Zuji Jodam Na Sanju Padu Dami Tabji Tagazin Zuzi Besonanchi Dola Pinzes Sanji Duba Jo Simjin Dabje De Wadan De Wajidan Demba Joji Do Nadan Do Naji Judan De Wajoji Do Namebe De Wada Pada Midawa Joji Nering Jedang Neren De Wedanyon Sime Pala Nemba Joji. Always so special to connect up to the great wisdom beings, the enlightened beings like Guru Padmasambhava and the Buddha, and also generating four boundless. It's really genuine, heartfelt, tender wish, and kind of embodied, really felt kind of urgency for all beings to have infinite happiness, have infinite kind of freedom from any kind of suffering, and then just rejoicing, celebrating in everyone's kind of bountiful abundance of their Buddha nature and their beauty and intelligence. And then also kind of equalizing, infinite equanimity. All beings, we're kind of in the same boat. We have the same amazing, special nature, this enlightened genius capacity. And like really seeing that, kind of trying to like relaxedly, care for all beings equally. Like they're all so dear and precious to us. So reactivating these four boundless thoughts. So just a few quick reflections, a little bit of a pause before a bigger pause. The bigger pause coming up is just there's a 1-month Dzogchen retreat here at Padma Samye Ling in upstate New York. And just have the great, tremendous fortune to be able to participate in that, and with dear Vajra family, and of course Venerable Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche, to receive teachings from him and really try to practice and implement them, like kind of to be it, and lived experience for a little bit of a stretch, just a month. And so that's just this lovely opportunity to pause together in silence and community and kind of caring and mindful consideration of self and other and world. And so here there's just a brief pause, not some big final video or something, but just like, taking a moment to kind of reflect and appreciate, have gratitude for all of you all, for the preciousness we enjoy, for the just special opportunity of being in such a amazing, extraordinary, magical world. And, springtime's here. It's kind of about to show the splendor of its beauty in a lot of ways for a lot of people. So springtime's here in, USA. And so just a little bid of a pause. And that's kind of what this, retreat in general is about, taking time for retreat, taking time to like really get to know and become a little more familiar with our heart and mind in a context or a container where we can really just like learn to more fully be with ourselves and be with our environment and care for ourselves and care for our environment and care for the others in it in kind of quieter, more subtle ways that oftentimes I overlook or just don't have enough energy or kind of attention for, and kind of like more busy or more outwardly reaching to interact on the kind of a little more tangible, a little more kind of outer or external kind of layering of reality. So retreat time, meditative retreat time, and kind of this heart care, wisdom sharpening time is so vital to pause. Just recently saw an excerpt from a teaching that the Vijayadhara Venerable Trungpa Rinpoche gave in the early 80s when he was just first introducing his Terma revelation of Shambhala teachings in the so-called West. And he mentioned 3 points of what we really need now, and it was just very impactful, as his teachings usually are for me. One, we need to, reduce speed. And then second, to reduce pressure. And then third, to really fall in love with something. To just so deeply kind of give yourself to something, to care for it, to put it before oneself. To really reduce speed, reduce this pressure, this tension, this kind of constriction. And then just to really genuinely, deeply, kind of like deep woven fabric care for self, other, and world. That these are 3 things that our world and ourselves, we've always needed, and it's kind of intensifying this need to slow down, to kind of lighten up. And then also to just like really genuinely have love as being kind of the abiding impulse of our movements of body, speech, and mind, of how we are in the world, of how we are with each other. And this is like kind of what meditative retreat's designed for, to care for at least these three elements, you know, to really touch base with like the kind of richness of mindfulness, the like rich layering of reality that we can all of a sudden kind of like see, recognize, and tune into and be with. And to do that with this kind of this really light, flowing, fluid touch, because everything is so dynamic all the time. Just even if we don't see that, because we're a little too busy, a little too tight. And then really there's always so many reasons to love, so many reasons to have gratitude. And so that's another thing with retreat time. And retreat time can be just a few minutes, actually. A retreat time from one's own graspy, kind of self-centered, selfish mind. Always me, and how am I doing, and I want to feel happier, you know, always me. A retreat is kind of like relaxing that tendency and uprooting that tendency and finally trying to totally like dissolve that tendency. It's always us. It's always all of us. It's always everything. We're actually a part of this infinite interconnected field of interdependence. Pratitut Samutpada, interdependence, dependent origination. This is kind of the reality that the Buddha pointed towards, cause, condition, and effect. Everything is dynamically, counteractively interacting all the time, at all scales, at all layers, of all quadrants, of all corners, of all aspects. All relationality is thoroughly interpenetrating with itself. I mean, so retreat gives a kind of space, opportunity, supportive structures to really kind of like, you know, settle into more of the vastness or the fullness of our being. And that means being with ourselves, which really means being with each other, and then being with the world. Like, there is no isolated separate self. There's like some me extracted and removed, hovering above in the sky, the actual embedded groundedness of like being a part of things, of interactivity, of relationships. So retreats like actually honing abilities, and kind of deepening our kind of ability to relax with the fullness, the richness of reality. And so then there were 3 points that have come to mind more recently. They've been a little more helpful for me. I recently did a survey course of like varieties of non-duality, and surveyed all kinds of different non-dual traditions, actually 10. And then types of Buddhism, Tendai and Shingon Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, certain Sufi lineages, Ibn Arabi's kind of profound teachings, and the Baols of Bengal, and Chabad, Judaism. I mean, just like this, the richness we're a part of, all the amazing pathways into wisdom and compassion that are available for us human beings. And during this beautiful course, which was led and taught by the scholar practitioner Sean Esbjorn Hargens, which I just can't recommend enough, his work. It's just, he's just this beautiful, amazingly exquisite kind of being of various kind of modalities. So I'm really appreciative of him, and something he brought up that's really helped me. There are these 3 points that when the pressure's on, when the world is moving too fast, when there's a lot of genuine things to have heartache about, like things we care about that are breaking or losing or fracturing, things that we love that are kind of a little more remote for us or a little less accessible. Like there are these 3 things that he found like actually helps him kind of rest more in the fullness of his experience, kind of keeps him more attuned to the like, more full spectrum reality happening. And these 3 things are like really take time and attention to track and care for like what is getting worse, what is fragmenting, fracturing, or breaking down, like samsara. I have to care for samsara, what's happening in samsara here. And then secondly, in Buddhist terms, nirvana, like what's actually getting better. And that can also just be samsara, like an improvement in samsara, but like in general, it's like what's getting better, track that, attune to that, care for that. And then thirdly, what's unchanging? What is unaffected by the ups and downs, the swings, the slings and of arrows, of all that kind of drama of reality? the kind of tragic comedy that we're a part of in one way. Samsara beings wandering in samsara duality mind with each other. What's unchanging? What's not affected? What's deathless? What's absolute? What is, the nature of the relationality, of this emptiness side in Buddhist jargon, right? So these three, what's getting worse, what's getting better, and what's unchanging. That if we tune into and kind of track and like make sure we're showing up for all three of these, then we're actually appreciating more of the fullness of reality, both inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves and in between, like in our relationships with what's inside and outside. That there are a lot of things that are, constantly getting more difficult, more challenging. And that at the same time, there's so many things to celebrate. There's so many reasons to be happy on such a planet with such beings and such amazing bodies, like with such a mental capacities and heart availabilities. And there's just so much to enjoy, even a simple breath. We breathe in a world that's in us, it becomes us. And I breathe out and it becomes us too. Like in that it's actually, to breathe in the world is actually nutritious for like in a nice, lovely part, That's how amazing. And then what's unchanging? And this is more the nirvana side, actually. This absolute side. What's unaffected by this? And I've seen more and more clearly over the, recent years that this unchanging component is so critically important as well. That if we're just tracking what's breaking, we're going to get heartbroken, like we're going to break into 1,000 pieces kind of thing. If we just track what's great, we're going to be really detached and removed, or like not attentive to like the things that really deserve a lot more care and love. The fragile, components of life that really require a lot of supportive structures to keep going with like kind of their elegant, beautiful, nuanced kind of awesomeness they bring to beings. So if we only track what's breaking or what's going right, but we don't ever have it like, what's the space within which it's happening? What is that field, that open awareness field of mind, of awareness, within which I'm experiencing all these ups and downs, the goods and bads, and all the ways that they can be experienced, through my 5 sense doors, If I'm not tracking like the field, the space, the openness of experience, then I'm going to get too tight on either side of what's great, what's horrible. And I'm just going to basically kind of like lock into that specific kind of set of features of reality and leave out a whole lot of what's like the larger, fuller view, fuller experience of reality that I'm a part of, but I'm just not paying attention to. And so that, I think, is really helpful. If we're getting too much wrapped up in all the terraforms and broligarchy and the different disasters and all the kind of, horrible things that are, bad things happening, and also things happening that just, they're kind of, they're avoidable. And then like, kind of like people wrapped up in so much selfishness, like hurting others. If we only track that, we're really going to get kind of like really sour inside. And if we only avoid that and try to only track the immediate good things, then we're going to kind of really be like kind of out of sync with so much of what's happening around us, which is like samsara and samsara beings and our own samsara tendencies. So we need this larger space, this heart space, this openness of mind, to be able to like hold both of these sides, and also like to be the larger container, the larger context or perspective, the larger kind of interwoven nature of absolute reality, that like all this is happening within this greater field of awareness of heart mind and changing absolute nature, which is in union with its relational expression, the union of relative and absolute in Buddhist terms. Yeah. So that's a simple point that's actually like carries a lot of textured quality that I found in my experience. So, yeah, I'm grateful for you all, and I'm aching for the world. And this is one world, and there's other worlds I'm aching for too. It's a big cosmos that the Buddha pointed out. There's 6 realms, and there's a lot of beings in it, and there are a lot of ways of being. And aching for the beauty of it and aching for the suffering of it. It's this dual aching. so much to love, and so much heartbreak that comes when we love things and they leave. You know, and it's, time is always going, and it is true that like every moment, like we're closer to dying. This configuration of my heart and my mind together in this body, it's like it's only more and more fragile. There's always an expiration date with this body. But the Buddha taught there's no expiration to this awareness, this mind, this heart mind. It keeps going. It's continuous. It's always been continuous since beginningless time into endless time. Time is just one way of holding something that can't be held. It's one way of containing a spaciousness that like needs a shape. It always takes a shape, but it's not the container. It's actually the openness throughout all expressive kind of relational interactivity, through all things, all experiences. So like, while that awareness is going to be ongoing and continuous, like if I don't show up in this present moment with higher quality love and compassion and wisdom or bodhicitta, if I don't show up with that, then my mind is not going to be as like caring and connected to like what it is, to its own nature, which is infinitely loving and infinitely compassionate and infinitely wise, intelligent. And it's just the nature of every mind, every heart mind. And so taking a little time for retreat to kind of relax into that spacious kind of vividness, that union of love and compassion and wisdom, bodhicitta, both with myself and with others, Dharma sisters, Dharma brothers, and then these profound kind of teachers such as Venerable Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche, Venerable Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche, and this amazing wisdom masters, and these amazing wisdom beings that actually fill the space too, in terms of Tibetan Buddhist Vajrayana view, like really taking the time to tune into that and to be a part of that, and to like develop more and more confidence that we are part of like something that's just so majestically extraordinary. And that is the nature of right now. That is the nature of this moment and this world and these beings and our relationships and myself too. And I find like without taking that time, without like, slowing down, lightening up, tuning in, turning on, in loving mode, without that, then it's just kind of a rush, and all of a sudden like death is kind of rushing towards death without like actually showing up for life. And that's just a pity, that's just too bad, and it's very preventable. So I wish for you spaciousness, a spacious heart, like a heart the size of an ocean, that if you put too much salt in it, a cup of salt, like it's no big deal for an ocean. But if our mind is so tight and small, like a little bowl, and you put a cup of salt in there, it's like totally ruined, Our mind really gets soured and kind of like, ugh, we can't really like stand to be with ourselves. So we run away. Out, out, out. We look out, out, out. And retreat's like saying, oh no, you don't need to run away. The mind isn't like this tiny little thing, The mind is vast like ocean, vast like space. Recognize that part. Recognize how big your heart is, and like take on the salt, the suffering of the world, and take on the beauty and the richness and the sugar and all the delightful, nutritious components of life, of reality, of being a being. But that spacious component, recognizing that and enjoying it and kind of celebrating it and relaxing into it and like learning to more and more integrate it with like our ongoing thread of lived experience, then that's like this bodhicitta practice, heart-mind practice of bodhisattva, so that we can be this larger field of nutritious space, that regardless of who we're with or what's happening around us, we can track like the, heartbreaking threads and the lovely, amazing threads, and also kind of the threadless openness of every experience, of every moment. So my heart goes out to you. It'll be with you in retreat for sure, 100%. I mean, I'm practicing, I'm training to like, it's going to hopefully be with all beings for every moment, trying to get, I have no realization, but trying to get on the first Bhumi Bodhisattva realization at least, where my heart's always open like that. Bodhicitta is always on. And then there's never kind of going back from that, the Buddha taught. If we can get this first level of Bhumi Bodhisattva, then always we're in our bodhicitta mode, which just means our naturalness. And then we expand the spaciousness or the aperture of our ability, our capacity to tune into more cause, condition, and effect or relationship, to actually have more of an accurate, inclusive sense of what we're a part of already, a larger field of interdependence. and to maintain that open, empty, free flow, flexible, fluid, attuned, accurate, in touch being with the world and others and ourselves. That's called going through the bodhisattva levels or layers. And then eventually there's such a state, such a being, such a way of being that's possible that the Buddha pointed out. It's called Buddhahood, enlightenment, where no longer anything's blocking our naturalness. And our naturalness is fully expressive all the time, uninterruptedly. And that's called omniscience or Buddhahood. We can fully be every perspective simultaneously in its dynamic, vivid, free flow movement. It's like uninterruptedly changing all the time and interacting on the super contracted layering like samsara and the really expansive layering like nirvana, and the seamless elegance of including both of those. We're a part of this giant infinite web of relationships. We'll always be a part of it. I'm very happy I'm a part of it. I'm happy you're a part of it. I'm happy to like do a win-win, omni-win. We're all in this together forever way of being with you, and to actually practically like also take the time for myself, my own mind, my own heart, and my own kind of precious like Sangha community to like learn how to do that more relaxedly, more enjoyably, more regularly. So, love to you all. By this merit, may all obtain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy wrongdoing from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. The precious bodhicitta, and those without it, may it be generated. And those who have it, may it never diminish, but always continue increasing. Deity, mantra, and dharmakaya are the nature of appearance, sound, and awareness, the pervasive kaya and wisdom display of the Buddhas. May practitioners of the profound and secret great perfection remain inseparable from the innermost, one-taste awareness of wisdom mind. Much love, forever.